Hello dear friends, today we are going to talk about two small sections in our thesis. These are the dedication and the acknowledgements sections. Of course, neither interferes with the overall quality of the work, neither calls into question your findings, neither affects in one way or another your design. However, they can be very telling, they can be very revealing about who you are as an individual. In this video, I would like to talk briefly about these two sections, and I will share with you the dedication that appears in my 2006 thesis. And it was more a bereavement of a brother who passed away 2 days after he had been born. And the contents of the dedication were inspired from the thoughts of a then 8-year-old Nordin. But before that, let me come back to the acknowledgements section. Acknowledgements section is not haphazard. It's not there just to fill in a gap. All too often we see students acknowledging their supervisor. This is a very good thing. All too often we see students acknowledging the supervisor and a few other professors. That's a very good thing. But in an acknowledgement section, we are supposed to acknowledge whoever has contributed directly or indirectly to the final shape of the dissertation. And therefore, it is a good idea to acknowledge not just the professors and the supervisors, but also the people who have helped you. For example, the people who suggested an article to you, who suggested the title, who advised you to go one way and not the other. For example, the respondents who took part in your study, like the interviewees and like the questionnaire respondents, and all these deserve a space in your acknowledgements section. Sometimes you can mention even your classmates, the members of the group in the doctorate, your classmates, etc. In other words, that acknowledgement section reveals how grateful you are to people, and it's more about your person than about the thesis itself. Same thing goes for your dedication. Some people do without this dedication. As I say, that does not affect your work, but dedicating the effort you have invested in your thesis to someone means that you are attached to a few individuals, at least in your family. Some students, dedicate this to, their work to their parents, to a deceased parent, for example, by saying to the memory of my father, to the memory of my mother, and so on and so forth. Others dedicate it to their children, to their wives, to the spouses, and their brothers. These are the closest in the family. Some theses are weirdly dedicated to the author of the dissertation himself or herself. And in a few of them you can read, this dissertation is dedicated to me. This dissertation is dedicated to my own endeavor. One might write something like, it's to me, myself, and I. All these, of course, they do not interfere with the work, but they can tell that you are selfish and that you are not on good terms with your family members. This is particularly highlighted in recruitments, for example. How can they know? How can they have a preliminary view of who you are as a person? It's by looking at your acknowledgements, by looking at your dedication. And if you say it's to myself, me, what does it mean? It means that you believe that you can do things on your own, and that the others have not done anything to you. Try to acknowledge the help of as many people as you can think of. Try to dedicate your work to the dears around you, to the people who love you, who have been concerned with your work, etc. In the remainder of this video, I would like to share with you the dedication that appears in my thesis, which I talked about at the beginning of the video. Thank you very much indeed. Way back in 1985, the afternoon sun was scorching as I made my way home from a remote school, for the first time with no company. As I veered around a tortuous, stony road, the ramshackle house stood in the midst of a basin called Amrus, the namesake of a family of a good many members. The house was the only one in the neighborhood painted white, like a pearl in an oyster. Scattered around the area were tons of evergreen olive trees. I gazed at some of the trees, then at the house, which dates back to the mid-70s. People were already thronging around the gate that introduced the building, in a manner that bees flank a hive in indication of intensive activity. I accelerated my often sluggish paces, hoping to find some other good tidings at home. I was mostly motivated to give a second lull to the newborn, for the would-be one had seen light on a previous night. Brotherly feelings were igniting from within. My heart was pounding and I stood still for a waft of air, my feet slightly aching. The aching was occasioned by a then frail body, which could not permit any faster pace than mere shuffling. Grappling with unwieldy school belongings, I hobbled along, forced my way through the mob into the yard, and gazed at my elder cousin, who whispered in dismay, "He has just been buried." The nadir of despair I experienced that day. I still recall the angelic image of Ridwan. The scar still festers, as did the dismay.